All the way back in March, I made a video updating the desk in my office. And boy, did y'all love it! It served me well enough for a few months, but as much as I hate to admit defeat, it did have some glaring flaws that I needed to address. And so I am upgrading it again. Let's talk about it. At the time, the concept seemed pretty innocent to me. Basically, the idea was to simplify the setup in order to help keep my focus. So I went from 2 displays down to 1, which was just my laptop screen, which was honestly enough for lighter tasks such as replying to emails and typing up documents. Then, for those fewer times where I'd actually need a larger screen, such as when I'm video editing or doing research for content, I delegate those tasks to the Apple Vision Pro, which can act as a movie theater-sized external display for my MacBook Pro whenever I need it. Though, cracks in the setup did start to form. And so, to regain control of my desk and to get more use out of it, I nuked almost everything and went from this to this. There is a lot I want to talk about here, but first, I want to start with the monitor. This is the UltraGear 32GS95UE from LG, who, full disclosure, not only sent it out for me to try out, but are also sponsoring this portion of the video as well. Keeping that in mind, this isn't intended on being a review of this monitor. In fact, I've only been using it for a few days to really gather first impressions at best. But even still, this is a beast of a display that I was looking forward to trying out for quite some time, especially as someone that's made plenty of videos on OLEDs. Plus, it'll absolutely add a ton of functionality to this setup moving forward. Probably the biggest draw for me has to be the balance between size and resolution. Measuring 32 inches diagonally at 4K, the pixel density is quite nice at 138 pixels per inch, and combined with the fact that LG have also improved the sub-pixel arrangement on this panel, to my eye, finer details such as text appear clearer and easier to read compared to the other W and QD OLEDs that I've tried so far. This in particular is obviously a quality of life jump compared to where I was with the Vision Pro, but it is also a considerable upgrade visually from the 42-inch LG C2 that I was using last year, especially when it comes to productivity work. But of course, with this 32-inch monitor being a part of the UltraGear line, it is purpose-built for gaming, which is actually something that I've been wanting to accommodate more in this setup, of course, responsibly. This office is for work. However, here on Denki, we actually test out some gaming hardware and peripherals from time to time. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, but that's something that I haven't been able to do once I nixed the TV out of my setup, especially with a slate of new graphics cards coming out, as well as consoles like the PS5 Pro and Switch 2 releasing in the not too distant future. I think it's a better time than ever to actually get a proper gaming monitor on my desk, and boy, is this one capable. Obviously, the benefits of OLED are all here. The excellent color, high contrast ratios with deep blacks, as well as the fast response times with basically no ghosting. But also, LG have tweaked the formula just a bit compared to the WOLEDs of the past in order to improve the experience. For example, this panel utilizes MLA+, which allows for brighter output, and it is also rated to hit Display HDR True Black 400 specification. This is a spec that focuses on contrast levels, especially in high-intensity scenes, such as the ones that you would see in video games. Story-driven AAA titles, such as Cyberpunk 2077, look absolutely brilliant on this display, especially with that 240Hz refresh rate. If you are one to maximize frames in more competitive titles such as Valorant, hit this button on the bottom of the monitor and it will flip to a full HD resolution mode that tops out at 480Hz refresh rate. Needless to say, the motion on this is crazy, but also because 32 inches is understandably large for this resolution. The monitor also lets you simulate a 27-inch or 25-inch screen in order to make things easier to see. Oh, and while I mainly use headphones when I'm at this desk, it's actually nice that the built-in speakers on this monitor are surprisingly decent when, say, I need to play a video for someone when they're in the room. LG actually does this thing where they use the OLED panel itself to emit sound, which is already something that works rather well on their TVs, and in a pinch, the sound on this monitor has quite a bit of body to it. Okay, so I've talked in length about the UltraGear, but I'm sure a lot of you out there are also curious about what this desk is all about. And this one comes from a company called Desktop or Desktop. I never heard of them until I started planning for this video, but as soon as I saw some pictures online, I needed to absolutely get one in the office. It's called the Bifrost Elite, and at the core, it's a motorized standing desk with up to 5 user programmable presets. But what I really like about this desk and what makes it really stand out from others is the sheer amount of customization and cable management you can actually do with it. As standard, you get these convenient cable drops on the far side of the desk to run your cords, which leads to felt cable pockets that run along the length of the desk underneath, which does wonders to hide your shame and is all out of sight when you put these magnetic covers on. But really, the main centerpiece to this Bifrost Elite desk has to be the D-board. In other words, a pegboard that's hard mounted onto the desk itself. Not only does this offer plenty of options for mounting things like controllers, stationery, and trinkets to keep them off your desk, but among the system of accessories you can option with the D-board, Desktop also sells VESA mounts as well to accommodate all kinds of monitors. Now, putting a monitor on your pegboard might sound a bit sketchy, at least on paper, but in practice, I promise you this thing is very secure. I haven't experienced any play on it, and with this setup, it's actually robust enough to let you rotate and move the monitor around without feeling like anything's coming loose. Quite honestly, I was glad to see this feature working out well because the looks and functionality of this are off the charts. With our monitor floating above the desk, we don't have to worry about it taking up precious real estate or getting in the way of our cable management channels. Plus, it's also nice that these pegboards have large pass-throughs to run our cords. Obviously, this was nice to keep our monitor area looking clean, but it also came in handy when using one of the included shelves that came in the box. I was able to put a charging station for my phone and Apple Watch on it, and it made the cable management so seamless. Even the support columns that the D-board is mounted to provide a clean and easy route to the bottom of the desk. Believe me when I say that this is truly cable management for dummies. And the fact that I even kind of rushed this setup for the video and it still looks good is a testament to how nice this design is. That being said, there are quite a few things about the Bifrost Elite that hold me from recommending it to people. Now, fortunately for me, I had the benefit of Desktop sending this out to me for free to give a review. But holy shit, this desk starts at $799, and as option, the way you see it here, we're looking at about $1,050, which includes the D-board as well as some extra accessories. For a lot of people out there, that'll be a huge pill to swallow, even considering how well thought out this design is. But also, for the money, I think the biggest compromise they made here is the quality of the materials they're using. For a product costing in the ballpark of $800-900 and can easily go over $1,000, I'd expect things like, I don't know, real wood for our tabletop? By that same token, the plastic on the D-board itself can both look and feel like a toy if you're up close to it. There is at least a 5-year warranty on the desk itself should anything happen, but unless you have deep pockets or just really want this design, it isn't the easiest recommendation in the world for me to make. Apart from that, some bits of the old setup have made it back on the desk, such as my 14-inch MacBook Pro. As I mentioned plenty of times on this channel already, this has been my daily driver for about 2 to 3 years at this point. The M1 Max still offers plenty of performance for my video editing needs, whether I am on the go or here in the office. And it's just nice that I can plop my laptop down, plug in one Thunderbolt 3 cable, and get a bunch of things, including 100-watt charging, full 4K 120Hz output to my OLED monitor, 10 gig Ethernet, connection to my peripherals, as well as my audio DAC, thanks to the OWC Thunderbolt Pro Dock. Peripherals haven't really changed all that much. I'm still using the Logitech Ergo M575 trackball. I will occasionally swap that out with a glorious wireless Model O when I actually have to game on this setup, but I do love using a trackball for basically everything else. And as for the keyboard, I also routinely swap that out with a bunch of other different options depending on my mood or what I'm doing. Now, something that I really liked about the previous setup was the use of a Loupedeck for window management on macOS. How I have this set up is with an app called Magnet, and it'll work with also any macro pad, Stream Deck, or if you learn your keyboard shortcuts. But with simple button presses, I can quickly rearrange my windows without having to drag any of them around. This is super convenient when I have a ton of applications open, but also the Loupedeck, if I'm not using it for management, also acts as a quick app launcher as well. Beyond that, I've also added a gaming PC to this setup, again, mainly to test things like peripherals and new hardware, or at the very least to game during my lunch breaks. It's not the newest hardware by any means, but it's still beyond capable for what I need in this setup, and it's all housed in a Fractal North case that I actually used in my old studio build. Not only does it look super clean, but the wood vibes nicely with the actual desk itself. My office setup will always be a work in progress, but if there's anything that I'm going to add right away, it's probably setting up some sort of KVM, so I won't have to fiddle around with changing inputs on the monitor and swapping out peripherals when going from my PC to Mac. Otherwise, I'm really happy with how all of this turned out, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki channel.